Erev Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Bereishit. Another round. We're after the Chagim, but we're still home. And I hope you all had a good Simchas Torah. And this week we had a full week to prepare for Parashat Bereishit. It's really exciting. A new beginning, going back to normal as much as possible, hopefully even more next week. And a new beginning for the Torah, also very exciting. I hope you're also starting to learn new things, each one his own way. And one of the interesting things, when we look at the Mefarshim on the Torah, the commentaries, we find that a lot of times they don't always disagree only on how to explain the Torah, the Psukim themselves, but also they disagree on how to explain Divrei Chazal. One of the most famous Divrei Chazal at the beginning of the Torah, Rashi brings a question of Rabbi Yitzchak, who asks, why did the Torah start from the story of the creation, and not from the mitzvot, from a Chodesh Hazeh Lechem Rosh Chodeshim and Sefer Shemot? If the goal of the Torah is to teach us how to behave, what we need to do, so talk tachlis. What are you telling me all the stories in Sefer Bereishit, the creation of the world? And Rashi brings the answer there. You can look it up. The Ramban says it can't be that was the question of Chazal. Why did the Torah open with the creation and the stories? He says, why did the Torah open with creation? Is that a question? I mean, what is the point of teaching us mitzvot if we don't believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world and tells us what to do? Obviously, the Torah opened with the creation in order to give us the foundation of our belief, of our faith. That is the most natural thing to open with. It can't be that that's what bothered Chazal. And the Ramban says what bothered Chazal was something else. What bothered Chazal is that the stories that we especially have in Parashat Bereishit, of creation, Kain v'Hevel, and we have other things coming up, and Parashat Noach, and Mabul, they're very deep. There's a lot of details there that we don't understand. Definitely the story of creation that's still boggling people's minds till this very day, and other things. It's so hard to understand. What's the point? That is the question. What is the point of the Torah narrating stories that there's a large chance we won't be able to understand properly? What's the point of writing it if we can't understand it? And the answer of Chazal, according to Ramban, is that the point of writing it is that it's not that we have to understand every detail. It's to teach us the principle. The principle goes that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a good world. He created man and put him in Gan Eden, but man sinned and therefore was expelled from Gan Eden. He created a world where people could be good, but they committed crimes and Hamas and stole from each other and were corrupt, and therefore came the Mabul, and so on and so forth, Migdal Bavel and their punishment. And although, says Ramban, we can't understand every detail of these stories, but we get the principle. We get the principle of that this world is good. We get the principle that if we behave properly as human beings, things will go the right way. And when we don't, the world also doesn't go the right way. And that is a very important message, says Ramban. And I think it teaches us also a very deep message, that one may think, when he approaches learning Torah, new beginnings of learning, he says, well, if I can't get every little detail, forget it. I'm not even trying. No. The Torah itself writes things that we know we may not be able to get. The Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows we can't get every detail. But it's still important. There's still a lot of principles to learn from it. Still, the big message is still there. And that itself is worth it, even if we can't get the last very little detail. And therefore for us, we should attack and jump on anything we can learn. And even if lo alecha amlacha ligmor, aval iyata ben chorin libatel mimena, we may not be able to get to the last point and get to every little detail, but it doesn't exempt us from making an effort and doing our best to understand to our biggest capability. And I think the bigger message here is that the big message is more important than the small details. That sometimes understanding the principles, understanding how life works, how this world works, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us, is the foundation. And then we go into the little details afterwards to our best ability. And I think in this time when we're still home, And a lot of times we may be thinking about ourselves and our children. What are they studying and not studying? And they're not studying their math properly, or their history properly, or they're not understanding the Rashi or the Ramban that the teacher gave them to study properly. And you know what? Could be it's very hard to get to maximum learning at home. It's impossible. But there's a lot of big things to learn at home. How do we behave? How does life go around? All the important things of life, of being together, and learning how to talk to each other, how to get along with each other, how to leave space for each other, a lot of other things that sometimes in other environments, in the official environments, we don't learn. And those principles can sometimes be lifelong lessons which exceed so much the importance, are much more important than another formula in mathematics or another detail in history. So, well, as we start a new Torah, B'ezrat Hashem, we should be able to thrive and learn in depth, and B'ezrat Hashem get the big picture, get the big principles of the Torah, and also get all the small details to our best extent. So have a Shabbat Shalom, and B'ezrat Hashem, a new beginning, and Batzlachah to all, and hope to meet you all soon.